Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another Hard Count podcast. And today, we're going to be going over my Week 3 NFL Power Rankings. We just finished up an exciting Week 2 of the NFL season, and we had some teams that really impressed, some teams that disappointed. Some are going to be rising in my power rankings, some are going to be falling down them. Real quick, before we start, I just want to remind you guys to subscribe. Hit that like button. It means a lot. It takes 2 seconds out of your day. And yeah, let's get right into it. My first 30-second team, and that is the New York Jets. They're just terrible. Terrible. Adam Gase is the worst head coach in the NFL. There's not too much to say about them. There's just a lack of talent. Arguably, Mekhi Becton has been playing very well. He might be the best player on that offense. Just the skilled positions are rough. The defense is bad. They lost their leaders on that defense. C.J. Mosley, Jamal Adams to Seattle. C.J. Mosley opted out. It's just rough for the Jets right now. I don't see them coming up. I mean, you can't really count anyone out, but I'm basically counting the Jets out by putting him here at 32. It's not fair to Sam Darnold to be put in this situation. I think he's talented. I think if he was in the right circumstance, he could thrive, but he's not in the right circumstance in New York. It's a mess there. They're at 32. Next, we got another New York team. We got the New York Giants. Daniel Jones has not been great. Well, he's had some ups and downs, turnover issues, and I think the main story, that lack of talent on the defense is becoming apparent for the New York Giants. We've seen teams be able to put up points against them. Even, Mitch Trubisky looked good against the Giants defense. And hey, Mitch Trubisky looked all right 2 weeks prior too. So can't take too much away there, but it's just the defense has not been playing well. Saquon is injured, who is by far the best player on that offense. The offensive line is bottom 5 in the NFL. It's really, really struggling. The fumbling is going to continue to be an issue for Daniel Jones, and he's going to not have as much time in the pocket. Not the best receivers for him either. So it's just a very much similar to the Jets. It's just a struggling team all around. I don't think they're quite as bad as the Jets. Obviously, they're here at 31, but I don't like the coaching. I don't like the offense. I don't like the defense. And their best player was just injured. So rough one for the Giants. Next, at number 30, we've got the Miami Dolphins, and I don't think they're quite as bad as the teams before them. Obviously, I've got them here at 30. Myles Gaskin taking over that run game, waiver wire pickup if you need in fantasy. The defense has been underwhelming. I think I was expecting more of a top 12 defense in the NFL, but we're getting more of a bottom 10 defense in the NFL right now. They struggled last week against the Bills to do anything. And yes, the offense was decent, but I just wasn't impressed too much with the Dolphins. I think the only thing to be excited for as a Dolphins fan right now is for Tua to come in. We don't know when that's going to happen, but I'm hoping sooner rather than later because he's an exciting young talent and this is not an exciting team. So yeah, Tua, excited for that, but not much else for this Dolphins team. Next, at 29, we have the Carolina Panthers. Offense is great, defense is terrible. That's the story of this team for the Carolina Panthers. They knew that in the draft, and I think we kind of expected them to be this bad. No, not too many surprises here. The Panthers aren't surprised either. They picked up 9 guys in the draft on the defensive side of things, and it might be the worst defense in the NFL. Yes, it's young, and again, this is not a prediction for the future on how this defense is going to turn out. It's just we're looking at the teams purely right now, and the Panthers are the 29th best team. Expect the defense to improve throughout the year, but again, similar to the Giants, they lost their best player, Christian McCaffrey, on offense, their best weapon, most versatile weapon. And the offense is still going to be good, but the defense is just too bad to have them any higher, and the offense hasn't quite been as good as I may have expected. Next, we've got the opposite of the Panthers, who I just talked about. We've got the Washington football team. Dwayne Haskins, similar to Sam Darnold, he's been dealt a bad hand. Outside of McLaurin, there's nothing on that offense to be excited about. There's nothing good on that offense. The offensive line is poor. The second receiver is Steven Sims, Antonio Gibson, Peyton Barber. There's not an identity, and we don't know who's getting the carries week in, week out in that Washington backfield. So it's just a struggle to move the ball. It has been. We saw it last week. So, front seven, that's the main story for this Washington team. It's very good, but how far can that take them? So, again, a offense that really struggled to move the ball last week. A defense that's good. The secondary, not so much, but the front seven is very good. But how far can that really take you in this league where everyone is so talented? So, yeah, football team at 28. Next, we got the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow has looked pretty solid, as we expected, the number 1 overall pick. We expected him to be a prospect that came in and did his job very well, and Joe Burrow is executing at a pretty high level. But we're looking at the offensive line has really struggled. The defense has very much struggled as well. So, we've noticed a trend, as I've talked about. The offensive lines, the teams here at the bottom have struggling offensive lines. It's a huge component to the offense. And especially with young quarterbacks, a lot of these teams have young quarterbacks that cannot quite overcome the offensive lines. So, yeah, the defense is not good for the Bengals. Joe Burrow is promising. They've got some talent at the receiver position. But just the defense is not looking good enough for me to put them any higher. We'll see. They put up a little bit of a fight against the Browns, but the Browns also lost 38-6 to the Ravens the week before, so not too impressed with that game. Next, we've got a team that was not expecting to be this low this early, and that is the Minnesota Vikings, a bit lower than I think most of us would have expected at the start of the season, but here we are. They're at 26. They're just struggling on all areas of the field, despite the talent on that roster. You got Dalvin Cook, Adam Thielen, Kirk Cousins, who I think is a pretty good quarterback. Talent on the defensive end, Eric Kendricks, Anthony Harris, Harrison Smith. It's a talented roster all around. But there's just no sense of urgency. I've not loved Mike Zimmer's coaching. The energy is just dead. Kirk Cousins playing very poorly. 0 touchdowns, 3 picks last week. The Vikings offense put up 11 points against a bad Colts defense. So, the corners for the Vikings have really, really struggled. There are mismatches everywhere for every team. A great fantasy matchup. So if you got a wide receiver or running back playing against the Vikings, start them. The Vikings, I think part of their issue, they've fallen behind so quickly due to the fact that their defense is so weak that they're not able to take advantage of their strength, which is running the ball with that Gary Kubiak scheme. And they've not been able to establish that whatsoever this year. They're always trying to catch up. So that's a big red flag for me. And, next week, I wouldn't be surprised if this team ended up in the bottom 3. But I'm not fully ready to let go of this Vikings team. There's still some talent. They still have the 13th best quarterback in the NFL with a very good running back, some talented pieces on the offense, and some talent on the defensive end as well. I don't think they belong with this group of teams down here. But right now, it's hard not to put them here. So next, we've got a team that I was very high on, another team that I was very high on to start the year, and things have just unraveled. It's the Denver Broncos. Just a very, very rough week for the Denver Broncos. They just fell off a cliff. Jeff Driscoll replacing Drew Lock. Sutton torn ACL out for the season. And now there's 2 rookie receivers that are leading that offense. Not at all what I expected this year. I was relying on Drew Lock, who's a very talented quarterback, to come out here, lead this offense, take advantage of his talent, and really put things together for this offense. It has not gone that way. Now we got Jeff Driscoll running this offense. Did not look promising. You got 2 rookie receivers leading the offense as well. Not promising. The defense, Von Miller, we knew he was out before the season started, so it just seems like everything good for this team is going wrong right now. And I'm not a huge fan of it. It's sad to see. I like the Broncos a lot. I liked them at the start of the year. So, unfortunate for the Broncos, but right now they're at 25. And I don't know how much they're going to climb. Next, we've got the Detroit Lions, a team, again, that I was high on at the start of the year. They started out strong against the Packers, but then they just blew it. And yes, it was against a good Packers team, a very hot Packers team, but you still can't do that. You can't just lose by 3 scores after being up early. Matthew Stafford, who I think is the 6th best quarterback in football, one of the only bright spots on this Lions roster, has really struggled. Galladay has been out for a while, so we'll see if his return really helps out this offense. And I think this team is still struggling on defense, and they're still trying to find their identity on offense. Are they a running team? The talent in the backfield is limited. Yes, Kerryon is talented, but he's not showing it. And is it a passing team? We don't really know. With the Lions, we are seeing a team struggling to find its identity. And their lead back, it'll be interesting. But Lions for now at 24. And then we've got the Cleveland Browns at number 23. And this is similar to the Vikings. Browns have so much talent. They're just not cohesive. They do not have structure, as Colin Cowherd would like to say. And yes, the Browns had a good win against the Bengals, but it was against the Bengals defense. And I wasn't impressed at all by their win. We've seen Baker tear up the bad teams before, and that is not what I wanted to see from the Browns. I wanted to see consistent week in, week out structure, culture, and performance from the Browns week in, week out, whether it be against the Ravens or the Bengals. I don't care. I just want consistency and good play across the board. So even though you may have been impressed by their 35-30 win against the Bengals, I was not, because they got humiliated by the Ravens 38-6, and that's exactly what I did not want to see from the Ravens. Yes, you don't have to beat the Ravens, but they absolutely fell apart and looked like two completely different teams, and the inconsistency is what I was concerned about with the Browns. So I was not impressed by the Browns whatsoever, despite what some people may think. And next, we've got the Jacksonville Jaguars. Minshew has looked very promising for this team. I was high on Minshew this offseason. I like his traits a lot. Very mobile quarterback, pretty accurate as well. So I liked Minshew this offseason after watching the film, and he's proven me right so far. He's done a great job. The offensive line has been decent, and this is the opposite of the Cleveland Browns. It's not the most talented team, and as we just talked about, talent is not everything in the NFL. Structure, organization, cohesion will always win out. We've seen it with the Patriots for 20 years, and yes, the Jaguars are not the Patriots. They don't have Bill Belichick. They don't have all the talent that those Patriots teams did, but they're coming in here as a team on the same page week in, week out, and playing well. So I'm taking that all day over a Browns team that, yes, has more talent on it, but is erratic, inconsistent. We don't know what we're getting from them week in, week out. We don't know who they're going to beat. We don't know who they're going to lose to. I like the Jaguars more than I like the Browns at 22. Next, we've got 21, the Falcons, a perfect shootout team. Similar to the Carolina Panthers we talked about earlier. Great offense, bad defense. Calvin Ridley is emerging as a star. Russell Gage, very effective wide receiver 3. Julio Jones, the best receiver in the NFL. Hayden Hurst is a good tight end. And, we saw them against the Cowboys, which in a game which should have been a win for them had they not choked it. But they put up 39 points, which is impressive, and that's what I expect from the Falcons offense week in, week out. They're a great fantasy offense, but also a great team to play up against if you are a fantasy player. So, the secondary stinks. The front seven is not as bad, but it has been struggling. So I don't have too much to say about this Falcons team. A very good offense, not a good defense, and I think that's the way it's going to stay for the Atlanta Falcons. Next, we've got the Philadelphia Eagles. Just what a mess. I'm hesitant to drop them any further than 20 this week. This is my Super Bowl pick, but everything possibly bad that could happen to them is happening to them right now. The offensive line is really beat up, really struggling. Yes, they played a good Rams team, but they got crushed. Wentz has really been struggling, and he was the leader. He was the glue of that team last year, and he's really been struggling. I'm glad I hopped off the Wentz train this offseason while I still could. Jalen Reagor has been pretty good. I've not been impressed by the play calling, which is something that has been very interesting to me. I have not been impressed by Peterson either. So, Wentz has really struggled, and for that reason, I'm selling my Eagles stock as quick as I can. Can they still prove me wrong? Absolutely, they can, but this is a week-to-week ranking. So, Eagles right now at 20. Next, we've got the Houston Texans, and rough couple starting weeks. We know they played the Chiefs. We know they played the Ravens. What are you going to do? I wasn't expecting them to win the games, but they did really, really struggle against the team, those two teams. I'm not penalizing too much to lose to them, but we'll have to see this week to get a better sense on the Texans. Deshaun Watson has played well, not too well. I've seen much better games from Deshaun Watson in the past. He struggled against Baltimore last year, and he played decent against them this year. But this defense, their front seven has looked pretty good. I think it might be a little bit underrated, their defense. Bradley Roby is a very good corner, under the radar. But, man, this offense misses DeAndre Hopkins. Will Fuller just put up a goose egg for fantasy owners. Brandon Cooks has struggled. So I predicted it might not have been too much of a loss for them, but it's really looking like this offense is struggling a lot more now that DeAndre Hopkins is gone. So it's definitely an interesting thing to look at. Next, we've got the Colts at 18. Good team. More impressed with some of the other teams this week. Yes, they won 26-11, but I think the Vikings at this point are almost a gimme win. Rivers has been a roller coaster. And, loss of Paris Campbell is not good. So I think this is just an overrated defense. A quarterback that is, a roller coaster. You don't know what you're going to get from him. Their wide receiver 2 is injured, but I think Michael Pittman gets the opportunity, which I like to see. So it's an interesting team to me. I don't really know what to do with the Colts. I've got them here at 18. I'm curious to see what they do in coming weeks. Next, we've got 17. We've got the Bears. Trubisky hasn't looked so bad. He had one of his better games that I've seen this past weekend, and he actually looked good. And that's a very, very good sign for the Bears. I'm not going to move him up too much, and this could be where Spencer was wrong. I did not like the Bears much this year at all. Had them going 6-10. They're sitting at 2-0. I think they're the worst 2-0 team out right now, but they're 2-0, and I can't fault them for that. The Bears defense has done its job, and I think I've said this in my predictions video. They have the talent around Trubisky to be a 9-10 win team, but they didn't have it from Trubisky last season. So, maybe they do this season and they are a 9-10 win team, and I just wasn't seeing it. So that's exciting if you're a Bears fan. We got the Bears at 17, but they can definitely continue to climb this list if I see consistent play from Trubisky. Next, at 16, we're halfway through. We have the Los Angeles Chargers. Anthony Lynn insists on starting Tyrod Taylor if he's healthy. Come on, Anthony Lynn. Start Herbert. He looked good against the Chiefs. He's your young guy. What's the point of starting Tyrod Taylor? You're a losing team right now. I think, honestly, you're going to have more success with Herbert. I didn't think it at the start of the season, but the offense just looked sluggish with Tyrod Taylor. It looked decent with Justin Herbert. You almost beat the Chiefs, and yes, that wasn't completely as a result of Justin Herbert and that offense. It was a lot of results of the defense, a credit to that defense, which is great because, their secondary has looked very good. They're a great matchup for the Chiefs, but I liked what I saw from the Chargers last week. They're using some of that talent that they had well, and I liked what I saw from Herbert. So definitely a lot of promising stuff there for the Chargers. Hope Anthony Lynn gets his thoughts right and starts Justin Herbert over Tyrod Taylor. But yeah, Chargers at 16. Next, we got another 2-0 team. 15, we've got the Oakland Raiders. Surprise win against the Saints. Waller looked like a machine. Probably won you guys some of your fantasy leagues out there. Derek Carr played to his potential. I like Carr a lot as a player. He was my 15th best quarterback in the NFL. I think he provides a lot in the offense that people don't give him credit for. He's a pretty mobile quarterback, very accurate, as we all know. And yeah, Ruggs was a no-show, which is a little bit hard to see. I kind of predicted it, though. Rookie wide receivers are never too effective, especially the speed guys in recent years. Gruden has done a good job with that offense, and I could have been wrong about the Raiders. They might actually be a contending team, which I would love to see. I didn't predict it this year, but hey, they're proving me wrong so far. So next, we've got a team that I don't really know what to do with. We've got the San Francisco 49ers because a part of me wants to put them 20, a part of me wants to put them at 5. But I feel like 14 seemed like a good spot for them. I like them more than the Raiders. I don't like them more than the teams above them. So here is 14. Why I don't know what to do with them is because of their injuries. Jimmy Garoppolo, their 8 best players are out. Nick Bosa, torn ACL, he's not coming back. Jimmy G, Richard Sherman, Raheem Mostert, Deebo Samuel, D Ford. It's just rough for the 49ers. Still a good overall roster, good coaching staff. You got Kyle Shanahan, who's a top 5 coach in the NFL. Very good offensive play caller. They'll be fine. Jimmy G will come back in a couple weeks. It's just rough for the 49ers. I think this team can still compete down the stretch. But for now, this is a week-to-week ranking. I've got them at 14. And we'll see what happens in the future with the injuries. Hopefully not too many more. Next, we've got the Tennessee Titans at 13. I got to put them over the 49ers right now. And I think many people think I should have them higher. And I don't know why people are having them at 5, 6 in their power ranks. They're good, but I think they're just an above average team. They don't wow me. I don't think they're anything special. They don't do anything super, super well. Yes, they have Derrick Henry. They run the ball well. But, don't get me wrong. I like this team. There's some talent on that defense. Ryan Tannehill is just good enough, does what he needs, does not make mistakes for them. And that's enough to win games. We saw them push down the stretch at the end of the year. I don't think they're going to do it again, but we'll have to see. I've got them at 13 right now. They don't wow me as a team, but they're definitely a good team, one to look out for sure as the season continues. Next, we've got the Arizona Cardinals, a team that I kind of was a little bit lower on as the offseason continued. I should have stayed on their train, on the Cardinals train, the Cardinals hype train, because look where we are. They're 2-0. They beat the 49ers. They crushed the Washington football team. They're looking really good right now. Kyler is looking like an MVP candidate. Can he be the third second-year quarterback in a row to win? Maybe. DeAndre Hopkins is looking incredible. He's looking very, very good. Getting open nonstop in that Cardinals offense, getting targeted 10 times a game. Very good for you fantasy owners of DeAndre Hopkins. So I've just loved what I've seen from this Cardinals offense. Cardinals defense has been under the radar, very good as well. We've seen pressure on the quarterbacks from that defense, as well as good coverage in the secondary. I've liked what I've seen from the Cardinals defense, as well as the offense, which has been very explosive. So I like the Cardinals a lot. Let's hope they can keep it up. That's what I've got to say with the Cardinals. Next, we've got the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And I told you guys, do not panic last week. They really struggled against the New Orleans Saints. They came back, had a bounce back week. They beat the Carolina Panthers with ease. Tom Brady looked good in that game. He's looked good this season. They did that too without Chris Godwin, who is one of their best players on their entire roster. This defense is underrated. They've got good young pieces all around the defense. So I like what I saw from the Buccaneers this week. That's kind of what I expected. I'm keeping them here at 10 for that reason. So yeah, I like the Buccaneers. Next, we've got number 9, the Buffalo Bills. Some people might think it's a little high, or a little bit low, sorry. And don't get me wrong, Josh Allen has looked very, very good against, leading this Bills passing attack. It's been very efficient and solid since the addition of Stephon Diggs, which I think was a huge addition. We've seen him really, really step up as that wide receiver 1. We've seen some improvements in those deep passing plays from Josh Allen, which we saw him really struggle with last season. So that's very promising. I just would like to see it against a defense that isn't the Jets or the Dolphins. And as I mentioned earlier in the video, we expected this Dolphins defense to be top 12 defense. They're not playing like it whatsoever. Teams are playing very well against them. The Bills defense, we expected them to look good. They are looking good. They did not play particularly well against the Dolphins, but you never know when Ryan Fitzpatrick is going to have a great game. I still consider this a top 5 defense in the NFL. And I like this Bills team right now is the 5th best team in the AFC. So next, we've got the 8th best team in the NFL, Pittsburgh Steelers. And I thought the Steelers were very impressive. I think they are what we expected. A very good defensive team. That front seven just is so scary. TJ Watt is one of the best players in the NFL. He's winning on so many blitzes. It's crazy. He's getting the quarterback at rates that nobody else in the NFL is. So very impressed by TJ Watt and that front seven as a whole. The offense is good. And it's not fantastic, but it does its job. And that's what we were missing from the Steelers last year. The offense was not doing its job. You were getting 13 points from the offense week to week, and you were just relying on the defense to hold the other team less than 13. But this week, this year, the offense is going to be putting up 20, 24 a week, which makes it very hard for opposing teams to win against the Steelers. So, I like the Steelers, exactly what I thought they were going to be. A good offense, not great, with a very good front seven and a good defense, a good some good defensive backs as well. So at number 7, we've got the LA Rams. The Rams are back. Offenses looked great. The weight of Gurley is off their shoulders. And all the credit in the world to Sean McVay. They've come out and reestablished this offense, made it look like what we saw from the Rams 2 years ago. It's an offense based around an interior rushing attack, play action, which sets up easy completions for Jared Goff, which he does very well. And Jared Goff is doing exactly what he needs to do. He's running the offense, not making mistakes, which is what the Rams need him to do. He wasn't doing it last year. He's doing it this year. And I've been very impressed by the Rams. The defense with Ramsey and Donald has looked very good. And yeah, I'm excited to watch them play the Bills this week, who are my number 9 team on here. I think it should be a very, very good game. We got some good games this upcoming week. We're going to be talking about 2 of them in a second. But right now, I got the Rams at 7 because they're looking like their old 2018 selves that got them to the Super Bowl. So I like the Rams a lot. Next, we've got the Patriots at number 6. Cam Newton looked like Superman again. They almost beat the Seahawks, who we're going to talk about in a little bit, if it wasn't for that goal line stand. And they were helped up by that pick 6 a little bit, but it's okay because they still kept up offensively, which was very good to see. Most teams are not going to be able to put up 35 points on you, 5 touchdowns on Bill Belichick's defense, but unfortunately you ran into Russell Wilson when he was very, very hot, and you can't really stop that. Patriots did a great job, have done a very good job scheming up things for Cam, scheming up an offense that really, really works for him. They're taking advantage of his legs more than I thought they were going to, and so far it's working very, very well. This offense, in my opinion, is better than it was last year with Tom Brady. So I like what I've seen from the Patriots so far. We're going to get to see them play next week against the Oakland Raiders, or Las Vegas Raiders, sorry. Should be an interesting game, we'll see. But front 7 still concerned. Secondary, I'm not too concerned about. Yes, Gilmore was burnt by Metcalf a couple times, but it wasn't too much of a concern for me. I think they're going to continue to be a very, very good secondary and a good defense throughout the year. And number 5, we have the New Orleans Saints. Disappointing game against the Raiders. They're dropping down 2 spots here. They were my number 3 team. I expected them to win that game and stay at my number 3 team, but I'm just concerned about Drew Brees. He looks unsharp, inaccurate. He struggled to push the ball downfield. This offense has really, really struggled without Michael Thomas. Michael Thomas is the only guy that's able to open up things in that passing attack outside of Alvin Kamara, who got most of the work. We know he lit things up for my fantasy team this week, won me a couple leagues. So I was happy about that, but did not look good for the Saints whatsoever. Alvin Kamara was looking like their only real threat. And so this team needs Michael Thomas back, and they need Drew Brees to come back. We'll see what happens here. I'm ready to drop this team whenever, but right now they're at 5. 4, we got the Green Bay Packers. They've been sneaky, a very, very good team so far. 40 plus in both games. Aaron Jones lit it up last week, and I like to see the comeback against the Lions. I like to see the composure instead of just falling behind and staying out of it. We were able to see them climb back in it and win by 3 scores. So I was very impressed by that. That's what I like to see. We don't want a team that gets, when they're up, they play very well. When they're down, they don't play very well. And Packers definitely are not that team. So, I liked LaFleur's play calling. I thought it was very solid. And so next week, we get to see them play my number 5 team on here, the New Orleans Saints. And I'm going to be going onto my channel, posting later today my Week 1 NFL Pick'em, or Week 3 NFL Pick'em, sorry. And I'll be discussing that game as well as another game that we're about to talk about. Next, 3rd, we have the Seattle Seahawks. Let Russ cook. Seahawks are playing very, very well. They're arguably the hottest team in the NFL right now. Game with the Patriots was very close, but I didn't think. They were able to pull it out, and there was a pick 6 earlier in the game that really shouldn't have happened. So I think the game was actually closer than it should have been. And this was despite Cam Newton playing like his best self. So this offense, I think right now, can keep up with anyone. They can torch any defense. It's a very, very good team. I think they could crack the top 2. I'm not ready to put them there quite yet. They play the Cowboys this week, another very good offense. We'll see. That should be a lot of fun to watch. I think, you'll see again later today what I pick for that game. But I'm excited to see this team progress as moving through the season. DK Metcalf has looked like a stud. And to me, there's not too many weaknesses on this team, but the pass rush is a concern. You can't give guys time like that. Points are going to be put up against the Seahawks defense this year, but the Seahawks offense is going to put up points on opposing defenses. Should be a very fun team to watch in the future. And yeah, I got Seahawks at 3. Now 2 and 1. This is almost a 1A, 1B situation for me. We'll just put them both up right here. I got the Chiefs at 2. This was the worst the Chiefs could have played, and they still won the game, I think. Mahomes didn't look too bad. He didn't look great, though. Hilaire was not as impressive this week. And I think the Chargers have historically been relatively good against the Chiefs, stopping them with their cover 3 defense. But it's hard. It's not really anything they did to drop them here to 2. Again, I almost think it's a 1A, 1B situation. But we get to see them play the Ravens this week, who are my number 1 team. And, I think Ravens look great. Lamar Jackson has looked very good. And the thing about the Ravens for me that has been very, very impressive is the ability to overcome adversity when things don't go completely right. First week, Browns did an awesome job stopping the read option. That was almost non-existent in that first game. And what did the Ravens do? Lamar Jackson starts slicing it up in the passing game. He's making accurate throws, very good throws all over the field. So when the Browns shut down the main focal point of that offense, Lamar Jackson stepped up and did what he needed to do to win the game, blow the Browns out. And then this week, we saw Lamar Jackson not playing his best football, not hitting his receivers like he should have. I mean, it wasn't terrible, but not the best. I've seen him play much better games. And so what did the Ravens do? They take advantage of their strength. They take advantage of the read option. They take advantage of the ground rushing game. So this team, if they can beat you in multiple ways like that, it is very, very scary. The defense looks amazing. 16 points let up last week against the Texans offense, and 6 the week before. The secondary is very, very good. We're getting turnovers left and right. I like what I've seen from Patrick Queen so far. It's a very good defense. And yeah, the Chiefs and the Ravens, 1A, 1B. I squeaked the Ravens a little bit ahead right now. Nothing the Chiefs did, just the Ravens have looked so good. So yeah, those were my week 3 NFL power rankings. I'm going to be updating those every single week. So check back here to see my updates, who moved up, who moved down. I'm excited for this week of NFL football. And come check out my week 3 pick'em. It should be up later today. And yeah, peace.